Hi there, my name's Ben, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to see if stuff is overrated or not. So the first thing we're going to determine whether or not it's overrated is inspiration itself overrated. Now you may be asking, what kind of a silly question is that? Is inspiration overrated? What do you mean by that? Is that true or is it meta-true, like in the Bible? Sorry, I'm not going to get on my Jordan Peterson, but the question remains, is inspiration overrated? And what do I mean by that? Do I mean inspiring others? Is it overrated? Or being inspired? Is that overrated? We're going to discuss both in this video. Right off the bat, I would say that firstly, inspiration is a very difficult thing to come by. It takes a lot of things to go right in order for somebody to be inspired. You have to say the right message to the right person who's in the right frame of mind at the right time in order for something to actually stick and to spur them into action. And I think that it's like, on that strength, on that, difficulty alone, people who are able to inspire others, I think, are rightly recognized and admired for that. Because, like I said, it's very difficult to do. A lot of things have to go right. You have to have a strong command of language. You have to be confident. You have to be charismatic. And you have to, more importantly, you have to be warm. You have to have this, I don't even want to call it comforting feeling, but it is almost like that. You have to be able to see this person who is doing the inspiring. In order for it to be sticky, you have to say okay, yeah, I'm comfortable around this person, or I'm comfortable listening to this person, because that lowers your guard down and of course makes you more receptive to different ideas. So again, that's not easy to do in order to have that effect on somebody. Now, yes, there are some people who are born with natural charisma. Some people can fake it. Some people very rarely can acquire it. Confidence is another thing that a lot of people are sorely lacking in. But confidence doesn't just necessarily have to be chin up, shoulders back, everything like that, although it certainly helps. Conviction can be some confidence in and of itself. It's not flip-flopping on every issue. Speaking with authority doesn't necessarily always have to mean that you're right or that you know what you're talking about. But if people perceive that you really do mean what you're saying, then of course, yeah, that can help. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Is inspiration itself overrated? Is it overrated to be able to inspire somebody? I would say absolutely not, just because it's so hard to be able to do just naturally. Not to mention there are plenty other ways to inspire people. You look at people like David Goggins, Wes Watson. Those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head. Essentially people who's an ultramarathon runner who, went through Navy SEAL training, ran 100 miles in 24 hours on 2 broken feet. The guy is an absolute machine. And that's inspiring in and of itself, even though what he did was not easy, because he obviously put himself through extreme physical pain, and in order to be able to accomplish that goal. But again, he sort of proved, if I can do it, anybody else can. But that wasn't necessarily easy to do. Wes Watson, again, spent 10 years in California prison system, and came out and built his business, and is now, of course, inspiring others and all of this through his Instagram and his YouTube channel. So I would say go check him out. I watch him, and it's certainly been very helpful to me. But again, he had to go through 10 years of pain, 10 years of, training his mind and training his body in an environment that is constantly trying to grind you down, to break you. So again, I don't really think that for the first part of it is being able to inspire somebody overrated. I don't think that it's overrated at all. In fact, if anything, I would say it's underrated. It's underrated. These people are worthy of our admiration. Those who are able to inspire us, not just through their command of language and their rhetoric, so to speak, but also through their works, through what they've accomplished and what they've lived through and what they've come out on the other side of. I think that is super, super difficult to do. And I think that ultimately they are worthy of our admiration. And I would definitely say they are not overrated. They are underrated. Now, let's flip it. Is being inspired overrated? Interesting question. What does it mean to be inspired? Does that mean that you're just this, receptacle, this empty cup that is going to be filled by somebody else's ideas? No, not necessarily. Does it mean that you're not a self-starter? Not necessarily at all. I think that in order to be inspired, that's also very, very difficult. Because now in this world where we have a lot of access to information, we have a lot of access to information and knowledge, I would say, even though it's not always used to its fullest extent. But I'm not the arbiter to say how it should be used. Although there are good and bad ways to do it, but that's a very narrow way of thinking about it. In order to be inspired, like I said in the beginning, you have to be in the right frame of mind. You have to be in the right place at the right time, having read the right source material. And essentially, inspiration can come from anything. It is that lightning bolt, so to speak. But it happens at random. It's really, really hard to get inspired. You can't just snap your fingers and say, okay, yes, I'm inspired now. Like, let me go do this. Even though I think a lot of people mix up inspiration with what's it called? With motivation, right? And even motivation, there are psychology books all over it and all of that jazz. But I would say that no, motivation is almost like this. You shouldn't have to give yourself a pep talk to inspire yourself or to motivate yourself. It should be an urge, almost like, forgive me for being vulgar, almost like having to go to the bathroom. Like it's something you have to do, something that you can't hold in any longer. So that's why the concept of motivation for me is a tricky one. But inspiration, that's something that is quite literally a lightning bolt from the blue. That happens at random. It's super hard to get inspired. No one can choose to get inspired. So that's why I would also have to say, in conclusion, yeah, that's also it's also not overrated. If anything, it's very underrated. People who have this, who are seemingly inspired by the smallest things, you look at that and you might think, oh my God, so you were inspired by, thing X, something that, to you may look at it as like, okay, it's just whatever. It's just a rock or so. And I mean, I forget what it was now. There's an example. Some bit of technology was invented. I think the creator of the technology, the inventor, was observing ants or something, or some sort of insect, something like that, and then had a eureka moment, and he went on. So it really can, but I'm definitely paraphrasing that. I'll have to I'll have to look back on that. I forget where I got that one from. But again, it just goes to show that inspiration can come from anywhere at any time. So of course, I don't think it's overrated at all. I think if anything, you're kind of lucky to be inspired to do something. And with that, I'll open it up to you. What do you think? Is having the ability to inspire people overrated? Or is the ability to be inspired overrated? Are they both overrated? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching.